I never thought the two people I trusted most in this world would be the ones to destroy me. But the night I opened that door, everything I believed in shattered into pieces I could never put back together. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there. Because sometimes betrayal is so deep, it silences you before it breaks you. My name is Lily Anderson. I'm 27 years old, and until a few months ago, I thought I had the perfect life. From the outside, it looked like a dream. A loving husband, a stable home, a close, supportive family. But the truth? It was all built on lies, and I was the last one to find out. I met my husband Daniel when I was 22. He was charming, confident, and he made me feel safe in a way I had never felt before. He used to hold my hand in public like he was proud of me. He used to say things like, "I'd never hurt you. Not ever." And I believed him. We got married when I was 25. It wasn't a huge wedding, but it was beautiful. I remember standing there in my white dress, looking into his eyes, promising forever. I didn't know forever would end in just 2 years. My family loved him, especially my younger sister, Sophie. Sophie was always different from me, more confident, more bold, the kind of girl who walked into a room and made everyone look at her. Growing up, I was always the quiet one, the responsible one, the one who followed rules. Sophie? She made her own, but she was still my sister, my best friend. We shared everything, or at least, I thought we did. The first sign that something was wrong was so small, I almost ignored it. Daniel started coming home late. At first, he said it was work, just extra hours, babe. We're short-staffed. I nodded. I trusted him. Then came the late-night texts. He would turn his phone away when he replied, smile at the screen, lock it quickly when I walked into the room. I asked him once, "Who are you texting?" He laughed. "Just work stuff. You're overthinking." And I let it go. Because when you love someone, you don't want to believe they could hurt you. Sophie started visiting more often too. At first, it made me happy. We would sit together in the living room, drink coffee, laugh about old memories. Daniel would join us sometimes, joking around, making both of us laugh. Looking back now, I can see it. The glances, the small touches, the way they would stop talking when I walked into the room. But at the time, I trusted them both too much to question it. There was one night I remember clearly. We were all having dinner together. Sophie made one of her sarcastic jokes, and Daniel laughed a little too hard. Their eyes met for a second longer than normal. It was subtle, so subtle that anyone else might have missed it. But something in my chest felt off. I remember brushing it away. They're just close, I told myself. They're family. I had no idea that was exactly the problem. A few weeks later, Daniel told me he had a late meeting again. It was already 9 p.m. I remember standing in the kitchen, looking at the clock, feeling that same strange uneasiness in my chest. Something wasn't right. I tried calling him. No answer. I texted Sophie randomly that night too. No reply. That's when the silence started to feel loud. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was fate. But I grabbed my keys and I drove. I didn't have a clear destination in mind at first, but somehow my car stopped in front of Sophie's apartment building. My heart started beating so fast I could hear it in my ears. No, I whispered to myself. No, Lily, you're being paranoid. But still, I got out of the car. The hallway was quiet, too quiet. I walked slowly toward her apartment door, my footsteps echoing softly. And then I saw it, a pair of shoes, men's shoes, at her door. Shoes I recognized, Daniel's. My hands started shaking. My chest felt tight. My mind kept screaming, no, no, there's another explanation. There has to be. I raised my hand and knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Still nothing. But I could hear movement inside. Soft, quick, panicked. And in that moment, something inside me broke before I even opened the door. I don't remember deciding to open the door. My hand just moved. The knob turned slowly beneath my fingers, and before I could stop myself, I pushed it open. And there it was, the moment that destroyed everything. At first, I didn't fully understand what I was seeing. My brain refused to process it. 2 figures, One bed, skin against skin, familiar voices, twisted into sounds I had never heard before. And then, my husband's face, my sister's voice, together. Time didn't slow down. It stopped. My heart felt like it dropped out of my body and shattered on the floor beneath me. They didn't notice me at first. They were too busy with each other, too lost in something that should have never existed, something that was mine. I don't know how long I stood there. A second, a minute, a lifetime? But eventually, the sound of the door hitting the wall made them freeze. They turned, and they saw me. The look on their faces. I will never forget it. Shock, fear, guilt, but not regret. That's what hurt the most. Not 1 ounce of regret. Lily! He said my name like it still belonged to him. Like he still had the right to say it. My sister pulled the blanket over herself, her hands shaking. Lily, I can explain. Explain what? How long had this been happening? How many times had they lied to my face? How many times had they sat at my table, eaten my food, smiled at me? While hiding this, my mouth opened, but no words came out. Because what do you say when your entire world collapses in front of you? Finally, I spoke, and my voice didn't sound like mine. It was calm, too calm. How long? That was it. 2 words. Simple, but heavy. They looked at each other. Of course they did. They couldn't even answer me without looking at each other first. Like I wasn't even part of this anymore. Like I was the outsider. Lily, please listen. My husband started, getting out of the bed, trying to come closer. I took a step back. Don't. 1 word. Sharp. Hold. He froze. Just answer me, I said. My sister's eyes filled with tears. But I didn't feel sorry for her. Not anymore. 6 months, she whispered. 6 months. I felt something inside my chest tear open. 6 months of lies. 6 months of fake smiles. 6 months of pretending to love me, while betraying me behind my back. I let out a small laugh, not because it was funny, but because it hurt so much. I didn't know how else to react. 6 months, I repeated. My voice echoed in the room like it didn't belong to me anymore. Lily, it didn't mean anything, he said quickly. It was a mistake. A mistake? I cut him off. I looked at the bed, at the sheets, at the 2 of them. This is not a mistake, I said slowly. This is a choice. 100 choices. Every single day for 6 months. Silence filled the room. Heavy. Suffocating. My sister started crying harder. We didn't mean to hurt you. I looked at her. Really looked at her. The girl I grew up with. The one I shared secrets with. The one I trusted more than anyone. You didn't mean to hurt me? I whispered. Then what exactly did you think this would do to me? She had no answer. Because there was no answer, I felt tears finally start to burn in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall in front of them. They didn't deserve my tears. They didn't deserve any part of me. I took a deep breath, and in that moment, something inside me changed. The love I had for them disappeared. Not slowly, not gently. It just shut off like a light switch. I looked at my husband, the man I once thought I would grow old with. You don't have to come home tonight, I said. My voice was steady, empty. Or ever again. His face fell. Lily, please don't do this. We can fix this. I shook my head. There is no fixing this. Then I turned to my sister. For a second, my heart tried to remember the love I used to feel for her, but it was gone. All I felt was nothing. You're not my sister anymore, I said quietly. Her face broke, but I didn't care. I turned around, walked toward the door. Each step felt heavy, but certain. Lily, please don't leave like this, he called after me. I didn't stop. I didn't turn around, because if I did, I might break, and I refused to break in front of them. I stepped out of that apartment, into the cold night air, and as the door closed behind me, so did that chapter of my life. I sat in my car, hands on the steering wheel, breathing, but not really feeling alive. Tears finally started to fall, silent, endless. But underneath the pain, something else was growing, something stronger, something colder. They thought they broke me, but they didn't realize. They just created a version of me that would never let anyone hurt me like that again. And that was the night I decided to walk away from my husband, from my sister, from my family, from everything I thought I knew, and I had no idea that walking away was only the beginning. I didn't go back home that night because that place, it didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a crime scene. Every corner of that apartment held a memory. Every memory now felt poisoned. So instead, I drove. I didn't even know where I was going. The road stretched endlessly in front of me, and for the first time in my life, I felt completely alone. I ended up in a small parking lot near a quiet park, the kind of place where people go to breathe, to think, to heal. I sat there in my car, staring at nothing. My phone buzzed again and again and again. I already knew who it was. I didn't need to check, but eventually, I did. 20 missed calls, messages flooding my screen. Him? Here? I'm sorry. It didn't mean anything. Please talk to me. We can fix this. You're overreacting. That last one made me laugh. Out loud. In an empty car. At midnight? Overreacting? After being betrayed by the two people I trusted the most? I wiped my tears. And in that moment, something inside me hardened. I turned off my phone. Completely. Silence. Peace. No more lies entering my ears. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat there, watching the sky slowly turn from black to gray. And as the sun rose, so did a new version of me. The next morning, I went straight to a lawyer's office. No hesitation, no second thoughts. Because deep down, I already knew what I had to do. When I said the words, "I want a divorce," my voice didn't shake. It didn't break. It sounded strong, stronger than I felt inside. But that was enough. The lawyer asked me questions. Dates, assets, property, legal steps, all the things that used to belong to us. But now, it was just paperwork, just signatures, just the end. Then came the hardest part, my family. I went to my parents' house that afternoon. My hands were cold as I rang the bell. The door opened. My mother smiled, that warm, familiar smile I grew up with. "Hey, sweetheart." But her smile disappeared the moment she saw my face. What happened? I stepped inside, sat down, took a breath, and told them everything, every detail, every lie, every betrayal. The room went silent, heavy, uncomfortable, broken. My father's jaw tightened. My mother's eyes filled with tears. And for a second, I thought they would stand by me. I thought they would hold me, support me, choose me. But then, my mother spoke. "Maybe you misunderstood something." My heart dropped. "What?" "Your sister would never do that to you," she continued softly. "There must be some explanation." An explanation? I felt anger rise inside me like fire. "I saw them," I said, my voice shaking. "I didn't hear a rumor. I didn't see a message. I walked in on them." "Mi father saihu." That doesn't mean you should destroy your entire marriage over one mistake. One mistake. There it was again. That word. That disgusting, minimizing word. I stared at them. The people who raised me. The people who were supposed to protect me. And I realized something painful. They weren't on my side. "Are you defending them?" I asked quietly. No one answered, because they didn't need to. Their silence said everything. My chest felt tight, like I couldn't breathe. So I stood up, slowly. "I didn't come here for permission," I said. "I came here hoping that my family would support me." I looked at my mother, then my father, and now I understand. I don't have one. My mother started crying. "Don't say that." But I stepped back. No, I'm done being the one who always forgives. The one who always understands. The one who always sacrifices. I walked to the door, and before I opened it, I said one last thing. "If you choose them, you lose me." And then I left. That was the day. I didn't just lose a husband. I lost my sister. I lost my parents. I lost my entire family. But I didn't lose myself. The next few weeks were hard. I won't lie. There were nights I cried until I couldn't breathe. Mornings where I didn't want to get out of bed. Moments where I questioned everything. But I never went back. Not once. Instead, I started rebuilding, slowly, painfully, but intentionally. I found a small apartment, nothing fancy, but it was mine. No lies, no betrayal, just peace. I started focusing on myself, my work, my health, my mind. For the first time in years, I chose me. And with every passing day, the pain turned into strength, the heartbreak turned into clarity, and the girl who once begged for love turned into a woman who would never accept anything less than respect. They thought they took everything from me, but they were wrong. They only took what I no longer needed. And as I stood in my new apartment, looking at my reflection in the mirror, I didn't see a broken woman. I saw someone new, someone stronger, someone unstoppable. And that's when I made a quiet promise to myself. I will never let anyone disrespect me again. I will never let anyone betray me again. And I will never, ever go back to the life I left behind. Because the next chapter of my life wouldn't be about survival. It would be about power. The first time I saw them again, I didn't feel pain. I felt control. It happened on a quiet Thursday afternoon. I was leaving a cafe with my laptop and a coffee in hand when I saw them across the street, walking together, laughing, like nothing ever happened. For a split second, my heart stopped. But then, I remembered who they really were, and I remembered who I had become. I didn't run. I didn't hide. I walked straight toward them. They didn't notice me at first, too busy in their little fantasy world. But the moment they saw me, everything changed. Their smiles vanished, their bodies froze, their guilt finally visible. He spoke first. Lily! I raised my hand. Don't. My voice was calm, colder than I expected. Then I looked at her, my sister, the one who shared my childhood, my secrets, my trust. And I said something I never thought I would say in my life. You're dead to me. She flinched. Tears filled her eyes instantly. But I felt nothing. No softness. No sympathy. Nothing. You don't mean that, she whispered. Oh, I do. I took a step closer. Because a stranger would never hurt me the way you did. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Deserved. Then he tried again. I made a mistake. Please, let's talk about this like adults. I laughed, actually laughed. You want to talk about maturity now? I asked. Where was that maturity when you were sleeping with my sister in our bed? People around us started staring, but I didn't care anymore. I wasn't protecting their image. Not anymore. His face turned red. She started crying. And for the first time, they looked small, weak, pathetic. I stepped back, adjusted my bag, and said the words that would end everything. Check your email. Confusion crossed his face. What? The divorce papers, I said calmly. You'll be officially served by tomorrow. He froze. You're serious? I tilted my head. I've never been more serious about anything in my life. Then I looked at her one last time. And as for you, I hope he cheats on you the same way he cheated on me. Her face collapsed. But I didn't stay to watch. I turned and walked away. Without looking back, that moment was the first time I truly felt free. But my story didn't end there, because betrayal like that, it has consequences. A week later, I got a call from my lawyer. Apparently, he wasn't taking the divorce well. He was trying to delay things, arguing about assets, money, property, even things that legally belonged to me. So I made a decision. I stopped being nice. I gathered every piece of evidence I had. Message, photos, hotel receipts, bank statements, everything. Every lie documented. Every betrayal recorded. And I gave it all to my lawyer. Use it, I said, because if they wanted a war, I wasn't afraid to win it. The court process started, and it wasn't pretty, but I stayed calm, focused, unbreakable. He tried to twist the story, tried to make me look like the problem, tried to paint himself as a victim. But truth has a way of showing itself, especially when it's backed by evidence. The judge reviewed everything, silently, carefully, completely. And in the end, I won. The divorce was finalized. The assets were divided fairly, and I walked away with my dignity, fully intact. But the most interesting part came later. A mutual friend called me one night, hesitant, nervous. Hey, I thought you should know something. I almost didn't answer, but I did. Your sister and your ex, they're not doing well. I stayed silent, listening. They fight all the time. Trust issues, jealousy, accusations. It's toxic. I closed my eyes, not in pain, but in realization, because of course it was toxic. Relationships built on betrayal never end in peace. You didn't hear this from me, my friend added, but he already cheated on her. I wasn't surprised. Not even a little. I simply said, I wish them the life they deserve. And I meant it, because by then, I had already moved on. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I had a new routine, a new life, a new version of myself. And most importantly, I had peace. The kind of peace you can't buy, the kind of peace that only comes after you walk away from everything that tried to break you. One evening, I stood on my balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and red, and I smiled, genuinely, because I realized something powerful. They didn't destroy me. They revealed me. They revealed my strength, my boundaries, my worth. And losing them was the greatest blessing in disguise, because now I was no longer the woman who tolerated betrayal. I was the woman who walked away from it.